Did Officer Smith call you?
on his personal phone.
So he
I
called
want
you?
everything by dispatch.
So he called you?
He's
Okay.
afraid to call me through dispatch because he don't want you to know that he's calling
So
me.
he did call you?
Huh?
So he actually called you?
And I turned him down, I told
Okay.
I told the person I would not tell him
It's
home.
all right. Whatever you say.
All right, so are we agreed on 10 for now, 10 miles for the
Yes,
CR?
10 miles is,
Okay.
I think.
And then 10 miles, 20 minutes.
And I got another
So
question,
is that-
maybe
Is
Eric,
that the
Either-
state?
Is that either or 10 miles or 20 minutes?
Well, you can call someone within 10 miles of the township.
20 minutes, but they gotta be
respond
updated
to a
to a
call.
call.
Yeah, that'll be a different, we're gonna,
Yeah.
so we're gonna stick to the 10 miles, and then the next would be the tow by tow. So for rotation, we probably should do it every time.
Every time, yeah.
And each rotation.
The only reason I suggested to him the other way was PSP has like somebody at a desk that answers the phone. They keep track of the list.
Right.
So when a trooper calls for a tow, they know exactly where to go on the list. We're kind of small and, you know, if we don't have a tow for a few days, I might not remember exactly who we
We'll
stopped
figure
on.
something out to make it easier.
But, I mean, we can-
Whether we have to get a whiteboard
I
and we
can-
put them
yes.
on and we'll do
Yeah.
something.
What if we
But-
did, would it work out, if we did a day at a time? So, for instance, Ron Schaefer would be today, Matt Mena would be tomorrow, you know what I mean, and
Yeah,
so on.
And-
That way, everybody that works today knows who.
yeah, but if you have a snowy day,
You're gonna need
Right,
one
we're
more.
that
not-
guy's gonna
day.
get all the tows, and that's an unfair situation.
No,
That's why the
that's
state
Yeah, but
police,
Yeah, but what if
he
you're the
can't
guy
make
who
it- he
gets the
can't
snowy
make it
day
to
the
all
next
of them.
time?
no, it's not fair for the other guy.
But he can't make it to.
But he can't make it to
another
all of them,
minutes.
so you're all eventually
He
gonna
won't make
get.
it in 20 minutes if he's already.
I
tied
can.
up. I don't know if he's already.
Now,
tied
what
up on the
happens,
tow.
Ron, what, we're still talking about that though, so let's say Schaefer's is on call today, okay? And they call you and you can't make it, then they immediately go to the next person on the list for that tow.
I only missed one tow in this township since I've
No,
been
but
doing it.
we're asking because
One
we wanna know
tow.
what's the best
Now,
way to do it, Ron.
One tow,
Ron, we wanna know what the best way is to do it. We're asking, we're running scenarios by you,
tow
we
by
ask
tow,
you.
tow by
Tow by
tow,
tow.
because you can have a
So not-
snowy day, and that guy's gonna get all the tows, all of it.
But
all
see,
of them.
when I look at that, say we have 5 tows on a snowy day, he can't be at all 5.
They're
So
not gonna be all the
next guys are gonna be
same,
called anyway.
they're not all gonna be at the same time, you only
No,
got.
they're not,
And then
they're
you got
not.
one officer on duty, so he only can go to one at a time.
Okay.
Ron, why does it matter
what
who
other
calls you? Why does it matter if Officer Smith called you on
Because I'm not
personal?
supposed to call certain officers on their cell phones, they don't even want me
But
to
he
have it.
mustn't be one of them because he called you from his.
Who, Officer Smith?
Yeah, I know
That's
him.
because he knows I'm suing him,
Because
Okay,
you're what?
so
I'm suing him.
Anyway,
Oh,
is
Jesus.
there any other
That's
scenario
another
that
whole
you
area,
guys
I
wanna look
guess.
at? So-
What about zones?
Oh.
Like north side of town, south side
Yeah,
of town,
I
east side of
I
town?
can see that's gonna get stupid.
That would just
We're-
get-
we're-
Yeah, that's gonna
we're
get
not that
messier.
big for
No.
that.
Well, I'm just throwing
I
it
mean,
out.
I understand what you mean, and like, there's a lot of places
Just more
that like,
tracking.
And then,
like
and
a sector.
the next
you know.
thing is salver. Is it a dealer salver, Eric, or is it a salver?
Just a salver.
Well, what's
You
the
better
difference
read the
between
salver manual a
dealer-
little bit more careful.
dealer
A
and-
dealer salver supersedes all of them. And that's who I am. And that's why I'm a dealer
How do
salver.
they supersede?
There's only 4 of them in Berks County. Dealer salvers. Berks mine,
What can
Me?
you do that the
Mottos,
regular
they're
salary
not-
can't?
they're a temporary salver because they don't have a salvage yard.
Okay.
They're only a temporary. I think it's.
But that's for picking up abandoned cars, right?
Yes.
So that doesn't, I shouldn't say it doesn't apply in Carnarvon Township, it does, but not that also.
The next problem I had was with names, addresses, and phone numbers of people. Every accident I went out to in Carnarvon Township, they would not give me any information at all. They think that's secret. It's not. I'm entitled to that information. I can't even get a hold of a customer, I don't even know their name. When an insurance company calls me about a car, they give me names. I don't know their names, not even their phone number. I got 60 abandoned vehicles that your police department won't even come and do the abandoned paperwork. 60 of them.
Can-
Okay.
Is
John
he
used to
suing
do the
us?
abandoned paperwork.
He's
These
suing
guys
us?
don't
That's
know
a
how to do
conflict of
it.
interest to do business with him then, isn't it? If he's suing us? Is that a conflict of interest?
He has every right to make a living, I mean, so
Okay.
because of what's going on and what he thinks.
Okay.
we
I'm
should
just
hold that
asking,
against
I
him.
don't know the law, so.
I mean, he thinks I took a
They
bribe,
told,
but I
they told me to
still don't
drop, they
treat him
told me
like
to drop a
human
bill.
being.
A $6,500 bill, they told me to drop it. And if I don't, they won't use me, and I didn't, and now they don't use me.
I don't know.
Okay, so, do we need to check into whether the abandoned, we have to make sure if someone's gonna pick up the abandoned, they have.
John
the
told you.
Dealer sell.
No, he
There
didn't.
is more.
He told me
Is
he
there-
did.
There's the other Salver,
I
there's
see John
like
every day.
3 of them that's in that
Okay.
10 mile ring.
I know you
Okay,
guys
so we
got the
just need
police
to make sure
report,
they
I don't know
are
why you
doing
don't show
what's
it.
proper.
Parts of the Salver, yeah.
Yeah, okay, and he has a lot.
I don't have the
Okay.
police report.
She does.
All right, so we're clear on the 10 miles, we're clear on, we're gonna stick with toe by toe, we'll figure out how we're gonna track that. And then the 20-minute window. So if a tow truck driver, the one that's on next in line, can't make it, so 20 minutes is standard? I mean, is that what?
That's what the state police use.
Okay, so we'll use a 20-minute, if they can't make it within the 20-minute window, you move to the next one,
Sure.
and then we just keep going to the next one, they don't get the bump any, it just automatic
Hold
rotation.
on 1 second. I heard Ron say that Michelle Raymond has a police report. What police report would that be?
The one that-
Where did she get
The
it?
one the police left on the guy's table.
No, a individual's allowed to give out their police report if they're involved in it.
The police left it on the guy's table.
I have no idea what you're talking about. You said
Yeah.
I have something. I don't have any.
Michelle Raymond has it.
I don't know what we're even talking about.
I have a,
The police report, you know which police report she has?
the people involved are allowed to give a police report. No, I'm not, I was given me personally a police report. I'm not giving it to anybody.
It's illegal for you to obtain.
It's not illegal if
It
they,
is illegal.
no,
That's
no,
Not when they leave it on the table.
not when they give it to you. When they're a party of the situation, they're allowed to give it to you.
Okay, so let's move on, so do we have any other questions we
I
wanna,
don't know. I don't.
do we wanna?
Talk to
approve
attorney on
this,
that
or
one.
are we waiting?
What? Will you say something, Alan?
Yes, I'd like to see it if you have one.
I was given a police report of somebody in the party of the situation, and that so I have it. I'm not giving it to anybody else.
Okay, we're discussing.
Yeah,
so
I
right-
know that Jeff brought it up.
All right, so, what do you guys,
20 minutes.
20 minutes?
20 minutes.
Okay. Anything else we need to clear up on the towing?
Yeah, with the names and the phone numbers. Or is the police legally,
I would think any tower is allowed to have it since they have the possession of the vehicle.
John told the
I
state,
don't know what he's
Okay.
talking about, but we
Okay.
did have his cards, we have a stack of the cards.
No, for the
So-
client, so the car,
Right.
so say my car's being picked up, he should have my name, address, and phone number so he can get paid.
Robinson gives me,
Contact.
Yeah, but we're not involved in his payment.
No, but
You know.
he's the one. we're asking him
Robinson
for the
gives
car.
me a slip and it has all their information on it, like the incident report, all the information on it.
Right.
The state police give me a printout, everybody's
So,
information's on
Any
it.
tow truck driver that we call, where do they get their information to, once they take that vehicle, where do they get the information so they can contact these people and get paid? That's on them to get paid,
The
but,
people that are getting their, yeah, I understand that, the people that are getting their car towed get his card for them to contact, but the vehicle registration, everything's left with the vehicle.
okay, so,
Sometimes there's no vehicle registration, sometimes it goes with the ambulance, sometimes the police take it. So
I'm not-
far in
I
this
don't understand.
township, believe it or not, this is, in this township, I never, ever got anybody's name, phone number, address. He thinks it's against the law. He fought John tooth and nail on that subject.
okay, so.
I asked and asked and asked.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Well,
There's no way to
All right,
contact.
let's get something. I mean, Ron, I get the fact that you're upset with these guys, I are. But we try to deal with local businesses. You're a local business, okay? So right now, if we put you on this list, are you guys gonna be able to work together?
I
or
don't
not?
even have to, all I have to do is
All
go
I'm
up there and
saying-
ask them if
all I'm
the car's
saying-
ready, and that's it.
All
That's
I'm
it.
saying is if they call you, you're gonna show up. You know what I mean? If we put you on this list, that's all I'm saying.
When haven't I showed up?
I'm just saying, okay, there's a lot of ill will, there's a lot of bad, vibes going on here, okay? We're trying to figure this out.
You would
because
be a
know
little
what?
upset too.
You know what, I don't wanna get into that right now, I'm just talking about a policy here, and we're trying to take care of our locals, and you're a local, okay, but, I mean, there's a lot of like stuff going on here, I mean,
They haven't called me since
professionally, if he
September.
calls you, you're gonna show up. you're not-
Absolutely.
And you're not gonna give him any shit, you know what I mean?
I never did.
Okay, well, but regardless, I mean,
But does
Okay,
it,
so
does
we
it
can
have to
work
come
together.
from him, or can a police officer call on their cell
it should
phone?
be up to the police officer, but that's the policy we're coming
The
up
way
with.
it's always worked in the past is, if the person in the accident calls 911, obviously it goes through the dispatch center. Normally, if Matt comes up, if Matt gets a phone call from dispatch, if there's an accident, Matt shows up on scene. Sure enough, there's a car that can't be moved under its own power. He then calls the tow company, and the way that I the way I
Burke's Radio,
understand.
Burke's Radio makes a phone call. That's
How
easy.
did Officer Smith
It's
call
documented.
him?
It is going each way, and when I used to call you, I called you all the time. on my
It
cell
keeps
phone.
them
What I'm
out-
getting at, though,
It keeps them
is
out of the middle, is what I'm
They
saying.
have always called from their cell phones, the tow company that I remember.
Yeah.
They were given township cell phones also. They're
You
supposed to
weren't.
use those.
That's not.
They don't have township cell phones.
Kyle does, it comes up contract.
Kyle does not. There's one township cell phone.
We used to have them, I don't know
Yeah.
if they're even still.
Not
out there.
everyone.
They've
has
been
it.
everyone
That's
for
the opposite.
years.
And
When they would call me,
Every
when
time
they
I
would call me
call
on their
Ron, I
cell
call
phone,
him
it come
on
up
my cell
contract.
phone.
But Ron,
Yeah,
if you're
why?
suing, are you saying that if an officer
maybe
calls
we should
you,
clarify
you're not gonna
that.
respond if they call from their
Officer
cell
called
phone?
the rest,
Is that what you're
or just-
saying?
I wanted to go through Burke's Radio.
Okay, but what if it doesn't? Then you're not gonna take it, is that, I just, there's always so gray area, let's just narrow it down and
Right,
decide.
if you put it through dispatch, they'll contact it.
Yes, we were on a personal level before where we could call on our cell phones and it was never an issue before. But now that it is an issue, we
Okay.
can call through Burke
Does-
Radio, it's no big deal.
Does
I
it
want
need to be
everything
an
on the up and
issue?
up.
Does it have to be an issue?
I'm not making it an issue.
Okay,
Well,
well-
we need to spell it out.
Yeah, that's
Just in
what-
case something goes wrong or
Exactly.
south or whatever, so maybe it's better if we send it through dispatch, because there's record of that, correct?
And
Yes.
Keith, I
And we
would
can
agree
always
with
go
you
back
on
and say,
that
okay,
part.
well, Schaefer was called 10 times,
There's no
Creative
argument.
Custom was
That's
called
right.
10 times.
There's no argument.
From this point
Let's add that to
forward,
it.
I was
Okay, so
talking about what we've
dispatch.
done previously.
They're called through
I have a
dispatch.
note there for that.
Okay.
Now, in terms of getting information on the vehicle to the tower/salver, in the salver section, there is, in your policy, proposed policy, detailed information that would be provided to the salver. I do not see that really replicated for just a disabled vehicle or a regular tow company. So maybe we can expand upon that. To require officers to produce certain information to the tower that would be similar to what a salver would get.
At least the name, address,
Because
and phone number.
normally what happens is a car's in an accident, they don't have full coverage, car's a piece of junk to begin with. I tow it, then it sits there and I never hear from the people, and there's no way I can get hold of them. I don't know whose car it is, I can't run a VIN number, I can't run a license plate if it had one.
But didn't Harrisburg just change the law, if I'm not mistaken, correct me? Harrisburg, I think, just changed the law stating that if you have a car on your property for, whatever it is, 90 days, being a licensed state salver, that you can apply for paperwork,
I have to go through, well, 20 days.
20 days.
20 days, I have to go through paperwork, and the state police will not come out. The local township police has to do it. They will not, the state police will not do it if you have township police. And that's the problem I have. I got 60 vehicles. I've been bugging these guys.
That's not true.
It gets old.
That's not
I
true.
just asked little Bill the other day, and I saw him.
Officer Smith is who completes those forms for him. We had not heard from him.
Okay, how do you submit the form? Do you have to
They
send
have to,
something?
they have to come, they have to do all the paperwork.
He has to notify us.
Okay, so do you notify them in writing when you need them to?
I get called.
Okay, yeah, but why don't you?
We don't want that, we want it on record. If we're gonna do everything above the board,
Well, I
let's
can
do
call, I can
everything above
call,
the
I can
board.
call your office and they.
No, what I was gonna
I can't
suggest,
call dispatch.
if everyone's
No,
okay
no.
with it, is you email them that you would like to have the information on this, and this car, whatever it is.
No, they have to
That's
actually
the
come
They can
down.
give that at the time.
They have to actually come down physically and do
For
that.
the abandoned,
Okay.
but you have to submit a request. you submit the request in writing, whether it be an email, so you have a trail. And then they'll have a procedure on how they're gonna handle it, when they're gonna get out there to do it.
That's what I was getting, that's what I wanted.
And that way, if you come in here and say they're not doing it, we can follow up and say, why wasn't this done? He has proof, he sent this email, you know.
That way, we're not just making a bunch of accusations, it's all, look, we can lay it out on the table and look at it. For both sides.
Okay, anything else we need to review on this?
No, since there's so many changes, why don't I suggest I do the changes and recirculate a
Okay.
copy for discussion in your next meeting?
Please.
Okay. Okay, chief of police hiring procedures. Job description, final version.
This is a continuation from your discussion last meeting. You approved the job description, subject to 3 revisions. I made those revisions and recirculated the description. I also prepared a job posting and provided that to you. I didn't get much feedback on the job posting. There was one sentiment raised concerning, I guess we'll call it like ramp-up time. If you were to hire a chief, you still needed time to get MOPEC certified, to provide time to do that. On the chiefs of police website where they're posting similar vacant positions for chiefs, one had that precise principle in their job posting that allowed up to 60 days to get certified. So I used that, just because it was in another posting on the same website, and I put it in your job posting. I did not change the job description because it was not one of the 3 provisions that you requested. My recommendation that you just stick with including that ramp-up provision in the job posting. Once someone's hired and gets MOPEC certified, you would not expect them to lose it again. You don't want to create an argument that they can now work as a chief without MOPEC certification for some length of time because you allow them to do it at the beginning of their tenure. So I would recommend that you just keep it within the job posting as I put it in here.
What's MOPEC?
Is 6 days reasonable?
What is that?
Municipal Police Officers.
Association, okay.
Municipal Police Officer Education and Training Commission
Okay,
certifies all police officers.
okay.
How long would it take to get that, Matt, if they left their certification run out and they just had to renew it? Is 60 days enough time?
Well, yeah, I think Benson had it in, how many days?
He did, but he wasn't
No,
offered
well,
it.
he wasn't expired. If the officer's expired, he has to go to Harrisburg and take an exam
Okay,
and then re-engage in all the, training, things of that nature.
So might it take months?
I guess it depends on Harrisburg and how fast they can get him on the test.
And with COVID too.
And then if he's up to date on his update training. Right?
I would think 60 days should be enough.
I wouldn't think so, especially with COVID. They're probably not scheduling classes and stuff like they normally would.
I would think these classes would
But
be
he
ones
I
that
makes
are
think
it
60 days is
fine.
fine, we can extend it if we have to.
I would say 90 would be more realistic. That's a quarter.
Well, then you go 90 days without chief.
No.
Put 60 in there, I mean, if it's COVID,
If we have to push it, because of COVID, we push it, that's all.
No, I mean, he could still be a chief, he just couldn't carry the gun, be a full chief.
I mean, this is only someone that isn't active. I mean,
Right,
because
Right.
I
this
mean,
is just.
well, he-
all police officers have OPEC certifications, you go for updates every 2 years?
All
Every year,
that are
but
currently,
every
yes,
year.
If he's a working chief, he has to be.
Right.
So
Certified.
he
So
can't.
That's where your Act 120 is,
Yeah.
all through MOPEC.
Okay.
So before you now is the job posting, which you haven't yet approved, and the job description as revised, which you did approve. If you want to further discuss either one of these, this would be the time to do it. One open question that the board did not resolve 2 weeks ago is the length of time that you want the job posting to be posted. I assume 30 days at a minimum. But if you wanted longer, I know the chiefs would post this for up to 90 days for the price that they quoted. So somewhere between 30 and 90 days, we would need direction from you on how long you want this code.
30 days is a long time to wait.
I mean, we can do 30 days and extend it.
You could extend it if after 30 days you don't
Yeah.
have.
I would say let's do that.
Right.
30 days.
We do it for
season,
90 days and we get 100 applicants, I mean, that's good, but that's,
I forget how many we had last time, it was a fair amount.
yeah.
In what, 2 weeks, I think?
And who will be in on the interview? I think a person from the community should be in on the interview, other than just,
Good question. That's a segue into what else you have in front of you, which is a resolution that sets forth the hiring process. I raised 2 weeks ago the idea that it's good to have a process in writing so everybody's clear on what's gonna happen over the next 30 or 60 or 90 days. So I have a draft here. This really wasn't vetted in detail 2 weeks ago, so I'll take you through that. Some of it's related to the job posting. So it begins with number 1 on the resolution saying the job posting for the position will be advertised for a minimum of 30 days. And that's up for discussion on the Pennsylvania Chiefs of Police Association's website and any other forums determined appropriate by the Township Administrator. 2, Township Administrator shall receive letters of interest and resumes through, I've got March 5th highlighted, but we need to go 30 days from the date it gets to the website. So it might be a few days beyond the 5th at this point. And then it says the Board of Supervisors reserves the right to extend the deadline. 3, upon receipt, the Township Administrator shall screen all letters of interest and resumes to ensure that each one meets the minimum qualifications for the position of the chief position that's set forth in the description. Any applications, I guess it should probably say any letters of interest that do not meet the minimum qualifications will be rejected at that point. And that gets back to the qualifications you did discuss 2 weeks ago about minimum 7 years of progressive experience, minimum 2 years of college, or in lieu of formal college, a minimum of 5 years of experience in police department leadership position. So anybody who doesn't meet those thresholds wouldn't move on. Once the administrator does that initial check on qualifications, the Board of Supervisors shall review all qualified letters of interest and resumes for purposes of identifying a pool of candidates to be interviewed by the Board's police liaisons, which are 2 supervisors. The board anticipates 5 to 10 interviews, so I left it as a range so that you're flexible. There's not a hard cutoff. There's a group of folks that want to be interviewed. And those initial first interviews would be conducted by the 2 liaisons. Initial interviews, let's see here, just said that. Police liaison shall rate the candidates based on the objective criteria with the position, which is all set forth in the job description. And the police liaisons shall nominate up to 3 candidates as finalists. And the police liaison shall ensure that personal and professional background checks for the 3 finalists are completed for consideration. So that when you forward 3 names to the whole board, you've also got background notes from phone calls and reference checks and such as well. And then it says the board shall interview the finalists. If you want different people or more people or multiple interviews, then you can modify this. This is just for discussion purposes. The board shall rate the candidates based upon the objective criteria. And then number 8 here, I've got highlighted in terms of what kind of background checks you want to do. So once you offer the position to your preferred candidate, it would be subject to the candidate's successful completion of required background checks that would include usually a criminal background check, driver motor vehicle records check, drug test, and then it gets into more optional stuff. If you wanted, for example, a financial background check, you could do that. Occupational fitness for duty, you could do that. I've even seen psychologicals done. Now they're going to get done anyway for most certification if it's someone going through that. So you need to give some direction on how many and the extent of background checks. You can even do a social media background check these days to see what the officer or the candidate is posting. If you wanted to do that, there needs to be a filter so that you as decision makers aren't inadvertently exposed to information that you should not be privy to as part of the application process. So you'd like to have a third party review social media sites of the candidate and report back to you only that information that would be material. So in other words, things that you can't ask someone in the interview process, like if they're married or what their religious background is or what, if they have a disability. Sometimes people inadvertently put that on their social media. You guys as a higher, as an employer, should not know about that.
Do we have a list of questions that you can't ask, only because things have changed in the past year, and is there a list of questions you're not allowed to ask? Do we
There
have?
is, and I certainly would provide that to the board.
Okay.
And whoever else you
Yeah,
are
'cause-
going to have interviewing, so that you don't ask those two improper questions. And then the last one here, it says the board reserves the right to re-interview candidates, so if you didn't get enough detail from your interview of those 3 finalists and you want to do it again, when you get an interview again, it gives you flexibility.
Now,
So those are all just for discussion purposes.
I like the interview that Chad runs on our part-timers. I mean, that's an extensive information. Is there any way we can have something like that done?
See why not?
I mean, those are impressive reports. They have a lot of information.
Whether that sits in
contact
on
other
it or the
people.
chat sits in on it, either one.
That's a normal thing we run on every employee we have on our
Right.
side. I guess as long as this individual signed a release, that's part of the application process, is they sign a release.
That gave a lot of information, talked to a lot of people, you know, people that they knew, and gave us perspective on them.
Well, and it would be good to have a police officer asking a police officer questions.
And don't forget personality plays into it too. The person has to work with these other officers that we have in place, so I think that's
And that's
important
where
too.
these interviews, somebody's
Right.
so in depth, and when they're speaking and interviewing other people that know them, and
Mhm.
they're giving background information, it lets you know what kind of person that is.
Yes, exactly.
So, I mean, I think it would be imperative to have one of our police officers, whether it be Matt or Chad, they're in charge, to sit in and like Sandy's saying, you
Well, I
know,
guess
be
my
part of
concern
that
is,
interview.
if we're hiring that chief, should it be one of our officers, or is there someone else or another institute that would do something like that thorough?
I've never gone down that road, so, I mean, maybe you could reach out to the DA's office, you know. Otherwise, it wouldn't be I don't know, but even like the neighboring agency, and it doesn't.
Well, we have a lot of police officers within our township, one sitting right there, who is a retired police officer.
I helped pick the chief of police for Cumberland Township after I retired. They had 7 people, none of them working for the township, come in. Most of them were retired or ex-police officers. We did interviews, we talked to the people, and then we did forms on how they performed, submitted those forms to the township, and then the township picked from the 3 top
Right.
ones how
But
they
the,
wanted to
but
do
the
it.
reports I'm talking about is where they interviewed family members, co-workers.
I'm just talking about the guys themselves.
Right, right.
So, but for what it's worth.
But it was nice to hear what the sister that they interviewed had to
Sure,
say.
sure.
And, you know, what the last co-worker of the prior chief or.
But that's what the township did
Right.
for those.
prior
We
to
just
that.
took care of interviewing the candidates.
So that would be one of our police officers would go out and ask questions to the family, or friends or whoever. And then they would bring it back and get reviewed by the 2 liaisons, right? And
It's invasive, if we ended up hiring that individual,
Right, that's what I'm saying. If-
his
Do we want one of our
subordinates may
police
well
officers who's gonna be his
see his
under?
credit report.
Do that.
Right, we gotta
Yeah, that's
do
not good.
every one of the
Right.
applications that comes in and base our decision
No,
on that.
I
We're
don't
saying
say-
pick
no.
the ones we want, narrow it down, then do that.
We don't
down to
even
3 or
narrow it down.
5, and then do your major interview.
And that's where you're getting more personal, you're getting more information, you're getting to connect with them more.
I mean, I'm not saying that our police department gets to pick their own chief, but I would like their input as well. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
give them,
Yes.
you know, have them take a look at it.
Because they're gonna have to
and
work-
Give them, you know, I want to see their input as well
Well,
as
just like
everybody
they're,
else's.
yeah, they would be involved. We just need to know how much, how
Can we
many
get
days.
him to be as a resident to help pick up the police chief? Because I think we should have a resident.
And I mean, we're-
Yeah,
I think we feel comfortable, especially with everything that happened, that a resident's on, and I think he's probably the most qualified.
Do you know that as a factor, or you?
Well, he's done it for Conroe, so,
I think he's comfortable doing it.
Yeah, that-
No, and it's
Right,
probably,
that's why
he's probably right, that it would
Right,
be,
that's why I said about
very
that
awkward.
outside.
yeah.
Keith, if we decide to go there out, would you be interested in helping?
If you need somebody from the outside, I will participate.
and I just think he'd be instead of like me, somebody who actually has experience in the field, and who has done it before,
They have to
yeah.
decide to go down.
But you're
I was
suggesting
thinking a
that someone
resident.
that
Yeah,
you
he's a
don't-
resident,
I
and
know,
yeah, it's
I
even
know
better.
because he lives in my neighbor. I was thinking a resident that doesn't have any background.
I would think you
in-
wouldn't want a resident, so that that person doesn't have,
Yeah.
you know, what
I
I mean,
was
doesn't
thinking
have
more along the
unfair.
lines, no offense, absolutely no
But-
offense, but maybe like a state police officer,
Well, yeah.
because they have.
I'm taking offense to that.
Yeah,
No, that would bring a different aspect to the interview.
but that would bring a big,
That's also
big.
not always the best.
That's not, I was just gonna say, this isn't the state police.
No,
I
we're
think
a
of
small
it that
town.
way.
That's the
Yeah,
only thing I'm thinking. A state cop is gonna
But
look
we
at
have state
things.
police who live in our
Oh,
town.
I know, but I don't know, they might look at things differently.
Maybe a chief
Because-
from another local,
What did you say?
How about Dennis, from, the chief at Robinson, Dennis Castle?
I don't know that that's good either, because
Oh.
he's gonna be the same thing as Matt, looking at the guy's personal information, and then working right next to him as a police officer, that could be,
Well, he's a resident of our township. That's up to you. You know, you're the ones making, I'm just throwing things out.
I'm not asking to be used, I'm just saying, if you decide you wanna do that, I'm willing to volunteer my time.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so where we're at is we need to decide what background checks we want. So definitely the criminal, driver of motor vehicles would be the one. Consumer financial background and drug test. So say they're MOPEC certified, so now we would need to do any additional. So you're saying social media is available?
Do we do it on an entry level? Because you have to do entry and exit. So do you do, is it suggested to do a psychological evaluation, even if it's on a small scale? Not like the one that, I'm sure MOPEC gives you the big 14 pages or whatever it is.
That's a
I would
couple
think
hundred
yes.
questions.
I would want
The,
psychological.
Minnesota something or other